I'm Stan Mooneyham on board World Vision's Operation Seasweep here in the South China Sea. And I want to tell you a story. It's a story of extraordinary courage, of danger, of heartbreak. When Southeast Asia fell to the communists in 1975, there were thousands of families who, prizing freedom above everything else, put the most precious cargo they had, their wives and children, into frail fishing boats and set sail on these open seas for anywhere.
They've been fleeing in numbers of up to 5,000 every month. There are confirmed reports of vessels being seized by pirates, the women raped, and the men thrown overboard. Most of the boats are unseaworthy and simply sink with the first storm. Right now it is estimated that there are from 5,000 to 10,000 people adrift in these waters, with no guarantee of a safe landing anywhere. This special report is about these boats, the people in them, and our response to this very real human tragedy.
I've been investigating this problem on 3 continents for 6 months. And the thing that has distressed and disturbed me is that, for the most part, the international bureaucrats and the governments of the world treat this problem as if it didn't exist, and they wish it would go away.
It is this indifference and cynical neglect that has brought World Vision and this ship here to the South China Sea. And I believe you will want to join with us, because during the next few minutes you're going to see firsthand how you can help those who are helpless. You can begin right now by calling the number on your screen and making a gift of $10 a month or whatever you can give. If the rest of the world can stand by unconcerned while thousands of people perish who might be saved, we cannot. I think you'll see why when I tell you how it all started. I want to take you back with me to a refugee camp I visited on the coast of Thailand, just a few hundred miles from here. This is Lam Sing, the temporary home of some of the fortunate, the ones who have made it to land. The tragedy of their stories will help you see why we're on the high seas right now. Tran Quang Hoa. He lost his 7 children when an approaching patrol boat forced his small group of boats to separate during a nighttime escape attempt. His wife and children are presumed lost at sea. Lan Nguyen. She and her husband wanted to escape in 1976, but it was so dangerous they decided he should try alone and then she would follow. After his escape, she received 1 letter from Singapore saying he was alive, but now that she has escaped, she has no idea of his whereabouts. Her daughter wakes up in the morning and asks, "Tell me the truth. Where is my father?" Nguyen Minh Du. During an ill-fated nighttime escape attempt, he lost his wife, who was 3 months pregnant, as well as his only child, 2 brothers, and a sister. The tales of human pain are endless. Their newfound freedom has become bittersweet. Now they can only wait and hope. Hope for resettlement in a friendly country. Wait. And think of loved ones left behind. Right now, we're trying to help meet the needs of the people in this and other refugee camps in Thailand. We've set up a temporary clinic, and we're providing food, clothing, shelter. For most of the people, it's the first decent meal they've eaten in weeks. The first time they've seen a doctor in months. Here's where your phone call can begin to make a real difference right now. $10 a month or a single gift of $15 can mean survival to one of these families. You could be helping a woman like this, who couldn't hold back her tears when she mentioned the names of her 2 daughters who are still in Vietnam. She sits for hours looking out over the sea, hoping that the next boat, or the one after that, will have her 2 daughters aboard.
Oh, I see. So they left it.
I knew that my life and our plans could never be the same after talking to the people at Lam-Sing. But at least these with whom I had spoken were on land, where we could touch them, talk to them, help them. What about the thousands crammed aboard those little fishing boats? Boats that might as well be matchsticks out there on that rolling, heaving sea.
In the name of humanity and a caring Christ, I knew we had to act. But first we needed to pray and ask God's guidance. The next day I went to Singapore and I talked with Christian friends and church leaders. And it soon became evident that God was leading us to a plan. We would launch a mercy ship, while at the same time working for an international policy to provide for resettlement of those in the refugee camps. But the first priority had to be to save lives. We couldn't pick up the people on the water because of the international complexities regarding their resettlement. But our little floating grocery store and service station could keep them alive and their boats afloat until they could make it to shore somewhere.
How quickly the plan came together was nothing short of a miracle. First, God provided this 345-ton ship. Scores of people volunteered to help. Supplies were purchased at cost. A large warehouse was given. Young people from the churches came and assembled hundreds of boat packs to be put aboard. Each pack is a kind of survival kit, containing a 44-pound bag of rice, noodles, canned goods, a small charcoal stove, blankets, simple medicines, cooking and eating utensils. Enough life-saving supplies to help a family of 5 survive for 1 week. In less than a month after my visit to the camp at Lam-Sing, Operation Seasweep was launched and on its way. This is not the first time World Vision has moved into action in emergency situations. For over 27 years, in every major world crisis, we've been helping people like you help the forsaken, the forgotten. Our motivation is the caring love of Jesus Christ, who himself was once a refugee. I know he deeply cares about the lonely, the dispossessed, and I believe you care too. While we're steaming through the Straits of Singapore, here's what you can do to help. Your phone call to the toll-free number you see on your screen can be your personal lifeline to a family on one of those tiny boats or in one of those refugee camps. $15 can help one family in a camp. For $35, you can provide one of these boat packs that can mean survival for an entire family while they're at sea. For the operation of our mercy ship, as we search for the stranded, the helpless, we need continuing gifts of $10 a month. Whatever you can give, large or small, call now, so we can put it to use to rescue these who are risking their lives to reach freedom. We're of different nations, different races, but every day God has bound us closer together in a common spirit of love and commitment. Bert Singleton spent 6 years in the Navy as an electronic scientist and physicist. After a successful career in the aerospace industry, he wanted to serve his Lord in humanity. and he joined our World Vision headquarters staff in California. He was the perfect man for this special assignment as our team's captain.
And we're making approximately 6.2 knots, so we return back at midnight tonight.
Part of his task is calculating the best routes to intercept the freedom boats leaving Vietnam. Our interpreter, Van High, had himself escaped Vietnam in a fishing boat in 1975. He understood more than any of us the terror on these waters.
I really did not dream that I would be here on board this ship.
Our doctor graduated from the University of Singapore 5 years ago. Since then, he's had a good government medical practice. And in order to come with us, he had to resign his position with the knowledge that he would lose all seniority. But he made the decision because he felt God wanted him on this ship. Hong Min Lee is a registered nurse, as is Chi Lee QUİN. They're using their vacation time to be on call around the clock here in the middle of the South China Sea. When we get back to port, 2 more nurses on vacation will take their place.
Tonight it's my turn to take the watch. We keep a 24-hour watch because we don't want to miss the possibility of a night encounter. Everything's here. The supplies, the team. It's all come together for a moment just like this. So now all we can do is just wait and hope and pray.
It's difficult to wait, especially if you care. And God has given us people for this mission who care deeply. It's quiet on the bridge at night. Just the sound of the big engines pushing us through the swells. There's time to think, to doubt. Will we really find the people who need us before it's too late? It's also time to remember your frustrations when the team was too seasick to function, when we lost 28 hours repairing the starboard engine at sea. Sometimes all the discouragements pile on you at one time and you feel very small and very much alone. Sometimes you'd like to quit, but then you remember the little boats and the people in them, and you turn back to the radar screen and keep on. The next morning came with a quiet, majestic beauty. It was to be a day none of us would forget. At 8:30 that morning, I gathered our workers together for prayer and discussion. I felt I should read a portion of Scripture from the New Testament. It was about a sea voyage taken by the Apostle Paul.
Driven before the wind. And I think the key verse in this whole chapter is right here in verse 25, when Paul said to those sailors, "So take courage, for I believe God." You know, when we started this operation, we didn't get any encouragement from official sources. I didn't find anybody who officially would say, "Well, you know, we wish you well." It seems because that the world treats with almost cynical disregard these refugees, and they just don't want to be faced with the additional problem of having more of these people in the refugee camps that they're going to have to resettle. But you know, I really believe, and this is where I've had to anchor my trust and anchor my faith in this whole operation, is in these 3 words: I believe God. Because I believe that if Jesus Christ were here on earth, it is these kinds of people that he would be trying to help the dispossessed, the refugee, the abandoned. And for sure, that's what these people are here out on the South China Sea. And I believe in whatever terms God measures success, this mission is going to be successful, because we are here under divine orders. And the verse that I'm claiming, the verse that I'm holding to, the verse I'm standing on, those three little words that provide the solid foundation, I believe God.
At 10 o'clock that morning, the full realization of the truth of those words appeared on the horizon as a tiny speck. And as we steamed closer, it became clear that we were making our first encounter with those who had been the focus of our weeks of praying and planning. To finally see those faces, to know we're close enough to help. The excitement aboard our ship was electric. The captain comes on board and Bert gets right to the point of meeting their needs.
The United States who have come out here to help refugees, okay? We will give you fuel and water and food. If you have anybody aboard that is sick, very sick,
They're just getting seasick, sir.
the captain has to charge up. You understand?
He tells them that because of regulations, we can only allow the captain and those who need medical attention to come aboard. Somewhere out of the staccato of hurried questions and answers, a very human, personal drama is revealed. It's a story we thought we were prepared to hear, but somehow it's different now that we can see and touch those suffering.
But we only want to go to the Liberty Nation.
To what?
To the Liberty.
Any country that has liberty.
Not communist.
Not communist.
Yeah.
Okay.
The captain says that 55 people are on board. 15 are children. They left Vietnam 4 days ago in the middle of the night. Another boat that left with them was caught by a communist patrol. They have only 4 hours of fuel left and a single cup of water among 55 people. And they are still 2.5 days from land. They would never have made it. Water and something to eat is brought immediately. Nine people, including children, are taken aboard for immediate medical care. Fuel is loaded aboard the little vessel. Boat packs with food, blankets, medicines are distributed. Bibles are put into the hands of every person, and the Christians among them eagerly open the Word of God. Finally, we give them a fiberglass lifeboat, just in case they have an emergency before reaching shore. The very practical, tangible love of Christ is being demonstrated. And for a moment, two boats from two different worlds are bound together by real compassion and caring. And it's worth it all. This is the kind of caring you can be involved in with a call to the number on your screen. This is the captain's third escape attempt. On his first try, he had to buy a fishing boat, but the owner of the boat told the police about his plan, and he spent 6.5 months in jail. The second time he tried, he had engine trouble, was caught again, spent another 5.5 months in jail. On this, his third try, he bought this small, decrepit riverboat. No one suspected he'd have the courage to take it on the open seas. He said he knew the boat wouldn't last long, but he would rather die at sea than live under communism. The navigator of the boat tells us he's a fisherman, and that his own boat and all his property were confiscated by the government. He says it took him 3 months of searching along the Vietnam coast to find a safe place to escape. His wife says that rather than have her children go to the communist schools, she decided with her husband to leave. Her parents and all her brothers and sisters are still in Vietnam. This grandmother says that, above all, she trusts God, and that all during the 4 days she prayed for a ship to help them. We were the answer to her prayers. The time with these who were risking so much for freedom's sake was far too short. But the importance of these moments and the love and gratitude that was being shared welded our hearts together. We had become brothers, sisters. The moment we had all tried to push from our minds was now at hand. The moment we would have to say goodbye and place a fragile little riverboat and 55 men, women, and children back out to sea. There's no way we can take the people aboard. If we did, we couldn't land them out here unless some Western nation would agree to resettle them. Resettlement is the whole problem. But they have a pretty good chance of being accepted if they make it to shore in their own little boat. Looking at their faces, I felt sorrow and love and anger all at the same time. I was angry at the international bureaucrats and governments of the world who ignore this problem as if it didn't exist and hope it will go away. I know how Bert felt. A few days before, I had asked him about helping the people and then having to abandon them to the sea. His voice tightened.
It's very difficult. Very difficult. Particularly the children. I would much prefer to pick them up. Yeah. Particularly when the weather is bad. You know, that many of the boats are very overcrowded and very small. And you know that the probability of their reaching shore successfully is very small. And so it is very difficult to leave them here. Yes.
Thank you very much.
And so it was. As I felt this kinship, I couldn't help but think of the thousands of others still drifting on these waters and how much we need you to help us rescue them. As you watch this report, our ship is out there plying these waters, searching them out. We need you to be a part of this mission of mercy. In fact, we can't continue without you. That's the reason for the phone number on your screen. It's your personal lifeline to one of these people, one of these families. A gift of $35 can provide a boat pack, the means of survival for one family for 1 week. And we need many continuing gifts of $10 a month to keep our mercy ship on these waters. Whether your gift is $15 or $1,500, large or small, some family on the South China Sea needs the help you can provide right now. Pick up your phone. The number is toll-free. Call now.
I've been thinking about those people we've helped. Sure, I wish we could have done more for them. I wish we didn't have to put them back out on the water. But I don't make the political rules. And I think it'd be an awful cop-out for us just to stand by and do nothing simply because we can't do everything we want to do. Maybe someday governments will change the rules. Maybe they'll put compassion and mercy ahead of politics.
God knows they ought to. And we're working and praying for that. But I know one thing. Those little boats that we've helped are a lot closer to the shores of freedom than they were when we found them. And those people in the refugee camps that we visited, camps that are almost as restricted and deprived as the boats themselves, have seen a glimmer of hope.
Right now, though, my heart's out there, beyond the horizon, where scores of other little boats are crammed with fearful but courageous mothers, fathers, and children. Some boats are so full that the people must actually stand up for 6 or 7 days until they reach land somewhere, or until they die trying. We know that many commercial ships, perhaps for the first time in history, have refused to stop and give aid to vessels in distress because of the politics of this situation. But I promise you one thing. We're not going to turn our backs on them. We're going to keep this ship of mercy out here until the monsoon storms force us to temporarily suspend Operation Seasweep. And we've got to have your help to do it. A gift of $35 will provide a boat pack for one family. Food, medicine, blankets, enough to keep them alive for a week. A continuing gift of $10 a month for the next year will help keep the operation going as long as it is needed. A gift of $1,000 will underwrite the whole project for one day. The amount isn't as important as you're doing something to help now.
From the South China Sea, I want to thank you for watching and for your compassionate response. Your telephone is the lifeline to somebody out here who needs you. Use it now. And while you're dialing, pray with me this prayer from the stirring Navy hymn that I used to sing as a young man when I was a sailor. Eternal Father, strong to save, whose arm hath bound the restless wave, who bids the mighty ocean deep his own appointed place to keep. Oh, hear us when we cry to thee for those in peril on this sea. God, grant our prayer and be merciful. For Jesus' sake. Amen.
If you have dialed and are having trouble getting through, please try again. Write down the telephone number now. Our lines will be open after we leave the air. We'll wait for your call. And if you would like to, you may respond by writing. Just address your letter to World Vision, Box O, Pasadena, California. That's World Vision, Box O, Pasadena. For the sake of those who wait for our help, respond now. Thank you.